The Mets take on the Nationals, 1:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. New York's minus a buck and a quarter, totals 8.5. And if you like Washington and an upset at home, they're plus 105 for some money line cash. Now they're also minus 145, catching the 1.5 on the run line. Josiah Gray's the starting pitcher for Washington. Taijuan Walker for New York. And following yet another pretty tough day on my BrockPage.com website yesterday, we did still manage to improve to 13-4 in our last 17 Major League Baseball tier package picks on that very same webpage. And that's good for 76% during that stretch of picks. We're also 24-10 in our last 34 Major League Baseball tier package picks in that very same category. And that's good for 71% during that particular stretch of games as well. We currently have over 700 members who were signed up and active on that site. And if you want to see which one of these free YouTube picks that I'm actually betting on personally, there's only one way to do that, and that's to sign up for a membership on my webpage. And once again, that's BrockPage.com. And despite some fairly good numbers out of Taijuan Walker this season, the righty comes into today's matchup with a 7-9 record. Now, the Mets have also won just 11 out of 30 divisional road games, and they're averaging only 3.8 runs per contest. They're taking on a Washington club who ranks in the top 5 in the majors in hits on average per game. Juan Soto's hit 24 home runs and knocked in 77. But most impressive, Soto's batting .301, which is 13th in baseball. He's also 5th in the majors with a .966 OPS. This Washington lineup strikes out just 7.3 times a game on their home field. They also have Josiah Gray on the mound here today, who averages over a strikeout an inning. When it comes to the total in this one, the Nats went 80% to the over in their last 10 ball games, 5-1 to the over in their last 6 at home. Meanwhile, 2 out of New York's last 3 road games got over the number themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Washington Nationals plus 1.5 and the over 8.5 runs. Next contest, Orioles, Yankees, 1:05 p.m. Eastern start time. The New York Yankees are minus 310, totals 9.5. Corey Kluber for New York, Keegan Aiken for Baltimore. Now, Aiken's just 2-8 on this season, 6.90 ERA and a 1.65 whip. The last place Orioles have the worst record in Major League Baseball, and they give up more runs per contest than any other team in the majors. They're taking on a Yankees club who won 2 out of their last 3, and they actually lead the majors in offensive walks at the plate. Aaron Judge has a team-leading .927 OPS. The big man's actually 8th in the league in that OPS category. Now, Judge also is in the top 15 in both batting average and home runs. Judge is hitting .297 with 30 homers at the plate. New York's currently 40-26 straight up in the Bronx, and they've got Corey Kluber on the hill, 4-3 record and a .361 ERA. Now, total-wise, New York went 60% to the under in their last 10 ball games, 2-0 to the under in their last couple at home. I'm going to lean toward the New York Yankees minus 1.5 and the under 9.5 runs. Next contest, A's versus the Blue Jays, 107 East. The Toronto Blue Jays are minus 210, numbers 9.5. Robbie Ray for Toronto, Cole Irvin for Oakland. Irvin's got 9 wins on the year along with a .374 ERA. Oakland's won 4 out of their last 7. They're in the top 3 in road hits. Matt Olson's 8th in the majors with 32 home runs. He's also 10th in the league with a .921 OPS. They're taking on a Blue Jays club who's in the bottom half of the league and runs allowed at home. Toronto's also failed to cash in on the run line in 7 out of their last 10 ball games. When it comes to the total on this one, Toronto's 36-32 to the over as the home team. Meanwhile, Oakland has gone 7-3 to the over in their last 10 outings themselves, 5-0 to the over in their last 5 when traveling. I'm going to lean toward the Oakland A's plus 1.5 and the over 9.5 runs. Next contest, Twins, Rays, 110 East. The Tampa Bay Rays are minus 205, totals 9. Luis Patino for Tampa Bay. Griffin Jacks for Minnesota. The Jacks comes into today's contest with a 6.71 ERA and a 1.40 whip. The last place Twins are 19 games below 500, and they rank in the bottom 3 in runs allowed. They're taking on a first place Tampa club who's tied for the most wins in the majors. Tampa Bay also leads the league in runs per contest. Brandon Lau's 8th in the league in home runs with 32 of them. Meanwhile, Austin Meadows is 5th in the bigs with 94 RBI. When it comes to the pitching in this one, Tampa Bay's leading the majors in fewest runs allowed per contest at home. Luis Patino's got 4 wins thus far in the year through 57 1/3. He's also struck out 58 batters during that span. When it comes to the number in this one, 4 out of Tampa's last 6 ball games at the Trop stayed under the line. Meanwhile, Minnesota's gone 70% to the under in their last 10 outings themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Tampa Bay Rays minus 1.5 and the under 9 runs. Next contest, Indians, Red Sox, 1:10 p.m. East. Boston is minus 140, totals 9.5. Nick Pivetta for Boston, Zach Plesac for Cleveland. Plesac's 9-4 in the season, 80 strikeouts and a 1.13 whip. The Indians won 4 out of their last 6 ball games. They also cashed in on the run line in 8 out of their last 10 contests as well. This Cleveland pitching staff is in the top 10 in road strikeouts. They're also holding their opponents to only 7.6 hits a game when they travel. They're taking on a Boston club who's cashing in on the run line in only 45% of their home games against American League competition. This Red Sox pitching staff is also in the bottom 3 in home hits allowed. Nick Pivetta's got a 4.67 ERA and a 1.34 whip. And when it comes to the total in this one, 2 out of Boston's last 3 contests at Fenway got over the number. Meanwhile, Cleveland's gone 38-30 the over in their ball games on the road this year. I'm going to lean toward the Cleveland Indians plus 1.5 and the over 9.5 runs. Next contest, Phillies, Marlins, 1:10 p.m. East. Philadelphia's minus 130, totals 8. No confirmed starter yet for Philadelphia. Eliezer Hernandez for Miami. Now, Hernandez has a 3.62 ERA and a 1.13 whip. The Marlins have a winning home record overall for the season, and they're also 16-13 straight up in their divisional contests at Lone Depot Park. This Miami pitching staff is holding their opponents to only 3.7 runs a game on their home field. They're taking on a Phillies club who lost their last 2 straight, with both of those losses coming to Miami. Philadelphia's 8 games below 500 when they travel, and their pitching staff is in the bottom 10 in the league in road runs allowed. Now, total-wise, Philadelphia did go 8-2 to the over in their last 10 contests, 4-1 to the over in their last 5 on the road. Meanwhile, the Marlins are 30-26 to the over in all of their divisional games for the season. I'm going to lean toward the Miami Marlins plus 1.5 and the over 8 runs. Next ball game, Tigers versus the Reds, 1:10 Eastern start time. The Reds are minus 220, totals 8.5. Luis Castillo for Cincinnati, Casey Mize for Detroit. Now, Mize comes into today's contest with a 3.59 ERA and a 1.15 whip. The righties also struck out 104 batters. Meanwhile, offensively, this Detroit lineup is in the top 10 in both road scoring and road hits. Jonathan Scope is hitting .285. He's the team leader in batting average and RBI. Meanwhile, Robbie Grossman's hit 21 home runs and knocked in 61. They're taking on a Cincy club who lost 5 out of their last 7 themselves. The Cincy pitching staff also walks more batters per 9 than any other team in the majors. Luis Castillo's 7-14 on the season, 4.30 ERA and a 1.38 whip. When it comes to the total in this one, 4 out of Cincinnati's last 5 contests at the Great American Ballpark got over the line. Meanwhile, the Tigers saw 2 out of their last 3 on the road get over the number themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Cincinnati Reds minus 1.5 and the over 8.5 runs. Next contest, White Sox, Royals, 2:10 p.m. East. The Chicago White Sox are minus 170, totals 8.5. Dylan Cease for Chicago. Brady Singer for Kansas City. Now Singer's just 3-9 with a 4.87 ERA and a 1.60 WHIP. The Royals lost 5 out of their last 6 ball games. They have a losing record at Kauffman Stadium. The Royals are also winning just 40% of their divisional home games. They're taking on a first-place White Sox organization who's actually 38-26 straight up against the AL Central. Chicago's gotten the W in 4 out of their last 5 ball games, and they're leading the majors in striking batters out on the road. Dylan Cease is 11-6 with a 3.82 ERA and 188 strikeouts. Chicago holds their opponents to just 7.3 hits a game. Now, total-wise, oddly enough, Chicago's 31-25 to the over against American League opponents on the road. Meanwhile, the Royals went 35-33 to the over in their contest at Kauffman Stadium. I'm going to lean toward the Chicago White Sox minus 170 and the over 8.5. All right, guys, it's actually getting pretty close to first pitch here for the 1 o'clock game, so I kind of got to rip through these next few games and get this video done and uploaded. So let's go ahead and move on. Cards, Brewers, 2:10 p.m. East. Milwaukee's minus 250, total 7.5. Burns for Milwaukee, Lester for the Cards. I'm going to lean toward Milwaukee minus 1.5 and the under 7.5. Next game, Braves, Rockies, 3:10 East. The Atlanta Braves are minus $2, totals 11.5. Charlie Morton for Atlanta. Ryan Feltner for Colorado. I'm going to lean toward Atlanta minus 1.5 and the over 11.5. For some reason, I skipped Pittsburgh today. I don't know why, guys. Next matchup, Rangers, Angels, 4:07 East. Angels are minus 130, numbers 9. Junk for the Angels. Hearn for Texas. Give me the Angels minus $1.25, over 9 runs. Next game, Stros, Pods, 4:10 East. Both teams are minus $1.10, numbers 8.5. Garcia for Houston, Paddock for San Diego. Give me Houston minus $1.10, over 8.5. Next game, Mariners, D-backs, 4:10 start. Seattle's minus $1.25, totals 9. Chris Flexen for Seattle. Tyler Gilbert for Arizona. Give me Seattle minus $1.25 and the over 9 runs. After that, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup. Dodgers, Giants, 7:08 East. LA is minus 160, total 7.5. I'm going to lean toward the San Francisco Giants plus 1.5. And the under 7.5 runs. Over that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at brockpage.com, where we are 13-4 in our last 17 Major League Baseball tier package picks. I like Washington plus 1.5, over 8.5. Yankees minus 1.5, under 9.5 runs. Oakland plus 1.5, over 9.5. Tampa Bay minus 1.5, under 9. Cleveland plus 1.5, over 9.5 runs. Miami plus 1.5, over 8. Cincinnati minus 1.5, over 9.5. Chicago White Sox minus 170, over 8.5 runs. Milwaukee minus 1.5, under 7.5. Atlanta minus 1.5, over 11.5 runs. LA Angels minus $1.25, over 11.5. Houston minus $1.10, over 8.5. Seattle minus $1.25, over 9 runs. Before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we are 13-4 in our last 17 Major League Baseball tier package picks on my brockpage.com website. That's good for 76% during that span. I'm going to lean toward the San Francisco Giants plus 1.5 and the under 7.5 runs. Of that, guys, now it's time for our shout out of the day. And that goes to Trevino Sloan from the 215. Who said yesterday, salute to my man Brock, all the way from Philly. Been a fan of the picks for years, my G. And of course, Trevino Sloan, you have been with me for a really long time. And I certainly appreciate all of your support over the years. Certainly know who you are. and appreciate you taking the time to drop me some very kind words. Now, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my website. Just keep in mind here, guys, if you end up getting a package here today on brockpage.com, you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that if you continue to opt in. So if you do end up getting a package here today, you're going to get access to that content all the way through the end of September. I always tell folks the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. So, signing up on September 5th, certainly a good idea. You're getting great value for your money. But anyway, guys, most importantly, I got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. With that said, guys, happy Sunday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at brockpage.com.